Welcome back to more Oxygen Not Included for our beginner guide. If you'll notice up in the top left here, you've not missed some episodes. We've had a bit of a jump cut. Last video, we kind of went over exploration, Atmos suits, what to look for, and so forth. And since then, I've mostly just been doing exploring. So we have kind of explored out our entire starting asteroid. So we do have lots of water. We had the steam vent we blocked off. We have a cool salt slush geyser here where I just put it up here to kind of cap it off. We have a cool slush geyser here. Where is it? Polluted water vent here. We got another geyser here, which was another cool steam vent. And then kind of dug down through here. Did add a second owl point. I'll go over some points with that there in a minute once we get into our main topic for today. But we got this side explored. We found our supply teleporter output. We got down to our lower biome here, so we can see our magma core and this kind of rock biome. It has minor volcanoes in it. We have our natural gas, and then over on this side, we also have the top of our asteroid here. Over on this side, we didn't find much more. I believe we found... Oh, no, we did find one more geyser over here. We found our output. It was over here. We have a hot polluted oxygen vent. Not a lot we can do with that. We found a somnium synthesizer. The toilet point of interest for the Princeptor. We have another minor volcano here. I believe you always get 3 minor volcanoes. Just, if you want to look in, there are certain rules to kind of map chat and stuff. But we know more or less where everything is on our starting asteroid now. We go up a little bit further, we'll get the surface, and then we just have magma down here. So after this point here, where I kind of have an idea of where everything on an asteroid is when I like to just kind of do a base redesign. Before getting into that, other things have kind of happened then. We've done a little more research, mostly like low resistance conductors, solid transport. I think the big thing is I did pick up HVAC and liquid tuning. I think are probably the 2 major ones I picked up. We've not moved too far on that. We have gotten a mechatronic engineer, and we just got an auto sweeper up here to kind of automatically supply our algae from this bin. Then we did expand our power grid a little bit of adding another coal gen. We just moved the battery over here. And we have an auto sweeper to do our coal. But a lot of this is probably going to move in a moment. Because we have kind of where everything is. So at this point here where I kind of know the layout of my asteroid, I like to kind of get a main base started. Where like, also dug out a bit of algae here, but just because the big reason where we're on the algae right now, this is a big area we have to try and keep pressurized. So you can see we kind of getting lower, like pressure gets a bit lower and the CO2 and everything. Like these 4 diffusers need to pressurize this entire area. Even though for the most part, we're not really always in that area. The other reason is I also kind of want to shelter our dupes in insulated tiles to make it a lot easier to kind of temp control stuff. And also give us room to expand. Because right now, our base is very much a put it down where it works. We don't take out too much because we don't want to worry about pressure and so forth. Also makes it a lot easier for our Atmos suits because we can just put Atmos suit checkpoints at the base. We're not going to build out areas and then have to put Atmos suits at the areas we're trying to get to. One of the things we did change where we do have 2 checkpoints now. We still have it set up that is only Gene, Nicola, and Higby allowed out. But I did set it that the checkpoints are vacancy only, and you want to do this anytime you have multiple checkpoints, because this makes it so that they will only go back when there is a dock free. Otherwise, they'll just go to the closest entry, you get suits on the ground, and then you gotta start delivering suits and everything back. But we have a lot of things we're going to need to move, because out of the stuff we're going to put in our base, for the most part, for the main base, I generally just keep it to the things dupes need for living. So our lab will probably go there, just because we're still going to use the printing pod for a light. So we'll put a lab, kind of our tier 2 lab in there. We're going to have a washerman there. We're going to plan to put a bionic washerman in. If you're not playing with bionics, you don't need to do that, but I'm going to plan the space now so I don't have to add it later. We're probably going to do 2 barrackses just so we can start expanding eventually, because our bottleneck at this point is mostly going to be dupe labor. We're going to want more dupes because we're eventually going to have to start going to other planets, and we're going to be doing a lot of things. So we'll plan out for 2 barrackses for now. We're still going to run a very small colony overall through this, because a pitfall a lot of people fall into is just getting too many dupes. Then we'll need, we'll put our kitchen in our base. It's very easy to do if you're doing electric grills. Most of the stuff, as long as you're not doing smokers you kind of don't want to put in the base with prehistoric, because they do make a lot of heat and stuff. But for like electric grills, gas range, I think even the frozen plants deep fryer, you can put that in your base. We'll have a great hall, and then we'll probably just leave some utility rooms. So usually, I believe I mentioned this here way back on a thing, is whenever I do a base, just because I like everything to be kind of symmetrical and stuff, is I try to keep any room I make to 16 by 4. It's part of the reason I don't want to put farms in or ranches, because ranches aren't going to be 16 by 4. So our ranches are going to be outside our base. Any food we do is going to be outside of our base, and so forth. So with that, I want to go 16 by 4. And then just because we definitely want our printing pod on our base, so any dupe we get is put in our nice safe base. This is usually where our starting point is. So we have a couple different options from there. Usually, just because you want to maximize the printing pod with a lab, you usually put your wall either here, because you're going to put a research station there and a supercomputer on the other side, or like we have here. We did it that way. Get a rough idea. We will put a room to here. So let's just get an idea of where we can put our stuff. So we're probably going this way, but we'll show kind of our options. We could go this way. So right about here would be the end of our lab. And then we have a ladder spine. So we have one kind of here where we went like 3 wide, because it lets us put a fire pole, a ladder, and then we kind of have an extra slot where we can put stuff like deodorizers, oxidizers, storage bins, whatever. For a main kind of permanent base, I like to go either 4 or 5 wide. And for a similar reason, because we want to have utility space. Well, use an actual example. Can't put one there. Fire pole, a ladder, and we can have the option of a transport tube. Usually more kind of a late game thing, a lot more relevant if you're doing very big colonies. That's a nice way to kind of shoot your dupes up in the morning. Where the fire pole lets them get down very fast. I could have a bunch of beds down here. They get in the transport tube here. Just whoop, we're up to our Atmos suits. But you can go that wide to kind of leave room for it. So we could go 4 wide, where we still have room for a tube and a utility tile. We could go 5, so we have utility on both sides. But we'll kind of see what there. Because another thing is maybe you want to do nature reserves and stuff later. So you want to leave room for that. You don't just want to go 3. So We'll be conservative. We'll say we're gonna do 4 wide. Then our next room would go here. And then our last room would be here. So if we built this way, we have the teleporter in the way. So I don't believe we have one at the moment. So we couldn't really build cleanly on this side because we don't have a dupe with demolition. Because all these kind of like gravitas structures we have demolished. But if we build this way, we can get our teleporter, transmitter, and receiver into our base, which might be something you want to do. But we'd have to work around this lab window and building the base out. So we're not going to do that. So we're not going to build this way just because we have this point of interest in the way. So we're going to build this way instead. We kind of got this lab already marked out, so I don't think we're going to change too much for our lab. Our spine's also roughly marked out, but we can see if we're going to go 4 wide, this cot's going to have to move over. We need to get this polluted biomes kind of in the way. Our ranches need to move. Our power's probably going to need to move. I mean, roughly plan that out. The other thing is our ranches have to move, our food has to move. Let's think now. So if we know we go 64, we go 4, 64, so roughly about here and here. So that gives us a rough idea for our base. So we're just going to do the standard kind of room, ladder, room, box-based design. You do different designs. There's no wrong way to build your base. But we're just going to keep it simple. We're going to do a very basic box base. So we have an idea of how wide our base is going to be. So the next thing we want to check is, do we have points of interest, geyser, whatever, that are going to prevent us from building things. So we notice natural gas geysers here. If we were to roughly go, the tamer I'm planning to put here, be about this big, and then transformer here. So like our absolute lowest limit for the base on how things spawned is about here. So we know that's probably as low as we can go before we get something in the way. Because I can't get rid of this geyser. I wouldn't want to, but we can't get rid of it. We know the bottom of our building area is about here. So we get about 1, 2, 3, 4, 4.5 rooms we can build down. We're going up. We have lots of room if we want to go up, because we're not going to get stopped by anything until we get to the Princeceptor. We could even put the Princeceptor in our base, but once we get up to here, then we start having these in the way. So we know the roughly where all of our base is. We know anything else we want to build needs to be outside these lines. So now we know, okay, where am I going to put my ranch? So, take a look around. Probably, just because of temperature and stuff, we're going to build our ranch over here. Just because that kind of goes into our old biome. We have the desolate biomes here. Those are kind of close to what we have. We're not going to deal with a bunch more kind of gas and jungle biome and other stuff getting in the way. We're going to want to build our base over here. Or our ranches, I mean. So we already know the walls here. What we can plan out. So let's say, for whatever reason, we decide our Atmo checkpoints here. So then we know, okay, I'm going to have a door here. And then by the same kind of logic, we want to think, well, I'm going to want a big ladder going either up or up and down my base, probably on both sides, so I can quickly get around. So I want to put about 3 tiles here because trying to find it here. Transit tube access. Because just now I'm caring a lot more where I'm going to put stuff later, because we're going to get into bigger things. It's going to be a bigger pain to move them later. So I'm thinking, okay, a transit tube access is 3 wide. So from leaving my base, I want to be able to put a transit tube here. We'll go like this, so I know the transit tube's going to be here. Then if I know the transit tube's going to be there, we do the same thing again of we have a ladder, a fire pole, and a transit tube. And then any building I put on this side, I want to have a transit tube again. So now I know any building I put on this side should start here. So then I want to check, well, if I'm putting my buildings there, excuse me, can I fit a ranch? So I got lots of room. I can fit a ranch. I could put my ranch all the way over to here if I wanted to. So then we look and see what's going to be in the way over here. We have a steam vent here. This can all get deconstructed, but we do have our supply teleporter will be in the way. The somnium will be in the way. This, I like the view. So we have a little bit of stuff kind of in the way where we build rooms on this side. But for the most part, we have lots of room to build anything on this side as well. It'd be the same thing over here, where I know if I have to leave 9 tiles of space, then all my rooms on this side can start about here. I have a lot more kind of stuff in the way over here, just because we have the critter flux, and we have a lot more geysers. But if we look at where our ladder would go, does it work out? Other than the Biobot builder, we mostly get a clean line up and down. We'll just have to go around the Biobot later. But that's fine. We can get to that there. So we know roughly where everything's going to go. So let's cancel this stuff. So before we start building the base, we need the ranches out of the way. That'll be the first thing. And because I'm dumb, I should have left the lines of where I'm building stuff. So we're just going to go by 4 wide because I don't think I'm not going to do transit tubes in this base. Or I'm only going to need like 1 tile here. So I know the wall's here. Going to double check. $64 door. 4 door. Okay. Yes. So this will take a little bit to build up. Base 3. Okay, so our ranch goes about here. So the other thing I'm trying to think is, where do I want the top or the bottom of my base? Because it's just we kind of just get into pathing. So where do... I think what I'll do, I will build the ranches kind of in line with the wall, just because I think it looks a little more clean. And I also like to try and keep ranches in line with my leveling. So probably also going to want to insulate, like hatches. Gonna get away not doing insulated tiles for now, just because we're doing hatches. And I don't have, like, tons of igneous yet. Okay, there we go. And this time, because we have a mechatronic, we can build our ranches with that in mind. There is one ranch. Now, do I want to go up or do I want to go down? I think we'll do one of each. One go up. About here. We'll get one going down. Because we're going to up to 3 ranches because we want to add more dupes. Right now, we have 2 ranches of 8. Which should be 16 times 600. About 9 dupes. Because we get 600 calorie per hatch. But if we do 24 instead, we can go up to about 14, which will work with what I'm currently going to expand. So there we go. So we know this is going to be our new ranch area. So we will need to kind of update our permissions for the door, because once we kind of get some of this built out, we'll have to allow our ranchers out. We know this is all going here. So we got to dig all this out. And then deconstruct this. So we know our ranches will go here. This is the biggest thing kind of in the way of our base at the moment, are the ranches. So then the thing we're thinking is, where do I want my access for later? So let's assume this is where we're going to put the top of our base. For now. Let's make that assumption. No base. The only thing that'll be here will be Atmo suits and Atmo suits for everyone to kind of get in and out of the base. This is kind of the big room I got to think about. So, get one here for representation. Gonna throw down a checkpoint. So we say this is going to be the topper base. This will be where everyone gets in and out with the Atmo suits. On the next floor down, we have a lab. Can't really do much about that. And the way I like to try and order my base, based on kind of their priorities when they come off their shift. So the first thing that dupes usually want to do when their shift is over is go to the washroom. After they go to the washroom, they want to eat. After they eat, they go to rec. So I like to order my base that way. So if this is the access, then I'd have a washroom here. And then also have a... So I would have a washroom on this floor. And then I'd also have my bionic washroom down here. Bionic washroom, you have to build a bit different, and you also want to have them separate washrooms. Get in that more bionics. So I want my washroom first. After my washroom, that means we're probably putting a kitchen here. Let's just throw down a electric grill. So I know here's our kitchen. I could probably get away doing a kitchen and great hall. I think I'm just going to do a kitchen, maybe just have some utility stuff. I usually don't fully design. I say the room's a kitchen. I usually don't make an actual kitchen with the spice grinder and stuff. But we'll plan for here to be a kitchen. So we go down another floor. That means I can have... Our Great Hall is here. Then I have Great Hall, and then usually my refrigeration system kind of behind where my Great Hall is. And then I can just have like a rec or utility room here. So let's just so I can keep a track of how much room we still have. So we have our Great Hall here. We have a miscellaneous room here. Then we go down one more. We can have our bedrooms. Then I can have a barracks here and here. So that would get up to the 16 dupes I'm kind of planning. And then how much room do I have for expansion later in case I want more rec rooms or more dupes? So I can have a floor here. A floor here. And then I'm out of space. So, because I want to go one floor lower than where my base is, because we're going to have all the CO2 in the base, we can add one more. So what we might do then, just so I have a little more room to expand later, the top of our base will be here, where our mealwood currently is. If that's the case, I have to get this polluted water out of here. So to help with that, I got a lot of polluted water I gotta move. What we're gonna do, gonna take a little while for that, is we are going to plumb this in. And we're just gonna get more reed fiber going. So we're gonna want this out of the way. The ceiling collapse. Nope. The risk of visualizing things. That's gonna get flooded. Fine. It also means our coal gens will have to move as well. But yeah, it'll take a couple cycles to kind of get this all built. Like I said, we're not in a... We're not in a rush to get anything at the moment. We have food, we have oxygen, our temps are fine. We'll take our time and get our base designed, and we'll plan that out for long term. So what that's also going to let us do is, once we kind of have the base laid out, then we will be making the switch from algae to electrolyzers. It's going to take a little bit. Kind of while we're waiting for some of this, another thing we got to think about is, where are we going to put our water? Because for all our water for the most part, all our water sources are up at the top, because we have steam vent, geyser, and water vent. And then in relation to our base, all our water is over here. So if we want to set up some kind of like big water tank, then we probably want to build it on this side. Just because all our plumbing will be on this side of the base. I don't have to worry about looping it around the base. So I'm guessing probably where this jungle biome is might be where we try to store all our water. And if I want it all out of the way, we will build it over by the wall. But I do need to deconstruct the things over here. There, we got a rough idea for building our base out. Kind of just the pre-planning for it. So we can get our ranches over to here. We will probably stop Mealwood, or we'll just have like a small patch of it in kind of whatever's left of our starting area after we have set up the base. And then over by here, once I have... It'll probably be the project after I kind of get the base and can kind of centralize everyone and get everyone in Atmo suits, that will start getting the water tank and start strip mining and getting these geysers under control. Trying to think, where else do we got to move things? For coal generators, we will probably just move to the very bottom where this coal pit is. I'm waiting on deliveries. To kind of get this stuff out of the way. We'll leave the rock crusher for now. Like thimble reseed. I'm looking for a very good building dupe. That's the only skill we're kind of missing. But kind of for the next couple projects is the getting the base design, getting electrolyzers set up, and then kind of start like strip mining, see what we have for resources, various other things. So like getting bionics going next, which will push us more towards we should start checking the next planetoid and so forth. But I think that'll be it for this video. I have been updating in the description some of the things I kind of miss and go over and stuff of like the actual way to tell how many incubators you need, how the math on those works, and like I had a whole thing of how to calculate geyser output, and then like I disabled the mod. If you check a geyser, it just tells you. But like I said, it was one of the reasons of why I wanted to do this guide series is the just so much stuff being out of date information that may or not be true, but still spoken like gospel, and just try to go through it. I was wrong. You don't need a mod or whatever. The game will just tell you what the geyser output is. But I included the math if you want to do it yourself. But yeah, I think that'll be it for this episode. It'll probably be another jump cut for once we get our ranches built. It'll be a very slow process. But next we will go kind of be a part 2 to this, after kind of the planning and the shape of actually getting our base down and the kind of projects for that. Unless we have something go catastrophically wrong in the time it takes to set all this up. But that will be it for this video. Thank you for watching.